Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Vortex, where lies and falsehoods are trapped and exposed. I'm Michael Voris. No doubt about it, the commies are coming, and depending on how you do your calculations, they're already here. As a matter of review, it's important to remember that all we see playing out before us is the result of a massive betrayal of those we trusted to preserve and pass on a free society. Renowned author and historian Trevor Loudon recently spoke with church militant about this whole scene.
Well, it tends to be in the Democratic Party, it tends to be a bit more ideological. You know, you've got many people in the Democratic Party with communist backgrounds. People like Dianne Feinstein, Senator Dianne Feinstein, Judy Chu, the congresswoman from California. Some of them, people like Adam Schiff, the head of the Intelligence Committee, is very in with a group called the Committee of 100, a major Chinese propaganda operation in this country. So the Democrats, it tends to be ideology and some money. The Republicans, it tends to be money.
Loudon and others, including church militant, are continually stressing the need to recognize that what's happening is the result of decades of a communist takeover, moving slowly and stealthily at first, but now feeling free to be more open and plain in their own goals. And while we were all on guard and keenly aware of the threat posed by Russia, the Soviet Union, too many were willing to give China a pass and even hop in the political bed with them, and tipping the scales of world dominance heavily toward Beijing.
Now the Chinese have a huge military. They have a military alliance with Russia. They are working with Cuba and Venezuela and Nicaragua and South Africa. And they have basically got to the point where the balance of power is almost in their favor.
In fact, China's influence has grown so strong over the U.S., even members of Congress, that Beijing controls much of what happens in the U.S. regarding laws.
John Ratcliffe, Trump's defense chief, said publicly the other day that the Chinese have blackmailed or influenced so many U.S. Congress members now, they can determine which legislation goes through the U.S. Congress and which doesn't. That should terrify every American, every Westerner.
What believers must recognize much sooner than later is that communism is here and it hates religion, most especially Christianity and in particular Catholicism. Remember, it was Theodore McCarrick, quietly trained by Soviets in his young years in Switzerland, who returned to New York and entered the seminary, climbing the ranks of power with payoffs, money, millions given to him by the Soviets, according to our sources. As what amounts to a little else than a communist spy in the church, McCarrick was the single man anointed by Pope Francis who hammered out the Vatican-China Accord, throwing the underground church in China under the bus. Simply stated, McCarrick was one of them, is one of them, and they hate the church.
The Democrats are preparing for religious persecution in this country. Now, you look at it from their point of view. The left controls Hollywood. The left controls the unions. The left controls the media. The left controls education. And the only thing the left doesn't control are the conservative religious denominations.
There's a lot of evidence to support Loudon's predictions. A large number of prominent Democrats, stretching back to Obama in 2008, are already on the record stating their disdain for religion in general and conservative religious-minded people specifically. Whether it's Obama or Hillary or Harris or any others from the rogues gallery, these are the leaders of the communist movement in America.
Already the Democrats are coming out with all sorts of policy positions to basically eliminate traditional Christianity in this country. And I don't say that lightly. When I say eliminate, I don't mean, mildly persecute. I mean eliminate. Using every agency of the state to drive what we would call traditional Christianity, whether Protestant or Catholic, underground. Because traditional Christians are the biggest enemy of the communists and socialists, and they're not going to be allowed to get in the way of this great new world order.
To fully comprehend the current political scene, nothing can be viewed in isolation. All of it is interrelated. The censoring by giant tech, the political rhetoric from the Dems, the media controlling the narrative, accusing conservatives of being traitors, the theater of an impeachment to so smear Trump that his supporters are reviled. All of it, every last bit of it, is all related. And there is one goal in mind: to keep any significant resistance from forming before the demonizing of conservatives can take serious hold.
And America has a very strong conservative tradition. You know, the Second Amendment, the First Amendment, very strong traditional Catholic community, very strong evangelical and Baptist communities. These people do not want to roll over for the new socialism, and they're going to protest that. So there will have to be a repression. There will have to be people going to jail. There will have to be people put out of business. And ultimately, yes, that would devolve into a concentration camp system, even executions.
So the race is on. Can conservatives, with all their various disagreements, form any kind of effective opposition to the storm about to break? Loudon says it all depends.
We've got a few Republicans, a handful, and we've got a mass base who loves Donald Trump. And we've got a big base of conservative Catholics and Baptists and evangelicals. What has to happen is a new movement has to arise. We have to form a country within a country.
Of course, for Catholics, there's a higher calling than just preserving a nation. We're called to convert the nation. For Catholics, political conservatism is and always should be viewed as a mere means to an end, the more favorable environment in which effective evangelization can be conducted. The reason the commie bastards always have the destruction of the church so high on their list is because they recognize the power the church holds. Since they don't believe in God, they never weigh the spiritual might, but they nevertheless do understand history, and they can do the math. The church has been around much longer than they have and will be around after they've gone. It won't be the first time an evil empire has had the upper hand and wielded a sword over our heads. And unless all this is the setup for the end of the world, it won't be the last. But still, this is the time in which we are living, not 2,000 years ago, not 500 years in the future. This is our time, and we must respond accordingly. God love you. I'm Michael Voris.